the decision, the office also again asked for the timing of the president's discussions with Cohen about Trump Tower Moscow and asked him to specify what period of the campaign he was involved in discussions concerning the project. In response, the president's personal counsel declined to provide additional information from the president and stated that the president has fully answered the questions at issue. In the weeks following Cohen's plea and agreement to provide assistance to this office, the president repeatedly implied that Cohen's family members were guilty of crimes. On December 3, 2018, after Cohen had filed his sentencing memorandum, the president tweeted, "Michael Cohen asked judge for no prison time. You mean he can do all of the terrible, unrelated to Trump, things having to do with fraud, big loans, taxis, etc., and not serve a long prison term? He makes up stories to get a great and already reduced deal for himself and get his wife and father-in-law, who has the money, off scot-free. He lied for this outcome and should, in my opinion, serve a full and complete sentence." On December 12, 2018, Cohen was sentenced to 3 years of imprisonment. The next day, the president sent a series of tweets that said, "I never directed Michael Cohen to break the law. Those charges were just agreed to by him in order to embarrass the president and to get a much reduced prison sentence, which he did, including the fact that his family was temporarily let off the hook. As a lawyer, Michael has great liability to me." On December 16, 2018, the president tweeted, "Remember, Michael Cohen only became a rat after the FBI did something which was absolutely unthinkable and unheard of until the witch hunt was illegally started. They broke into an attorney's office. Why didn't they break into the DNC to get the server or Crooked's office?" In January 2019, after the media reported that Cohen would provide public testimony in a congressional hearing, the president made additional public comments suggesting that Cohen's family members had committed crimes. In an interview on Fox on January 12, 2019, the president was asked whether he was worried about Cohen's testimony and responded, "In order to get his sentence reduced," Cohen says, "I have an idea. I'll give you some information on the president." Well, there is no information, but he should give information. Maybe on his father-in-law, because that's the one that people want to look at, because where does that money, that's the money in the family, and I guess he didn't want to talk about his father-in-law. He's trying to get his sentence reduced, so it's pretty sad. You know, it's weak, and it's very sad to watch a thing like that. And that was Trump on the Jeannie Pirro interview with President Trump, Fox News. On January 18, 2019, the president tweeted, "Kevin Corke at Fox News, don't forget Michael Cohen has already been convicted of perjury and fraud, and as recently as this week, the Wall Street Journal has suggested that he may have stolen tens of thousands of dollars, lying to reduce his jail time. Watch father-in-law." On January 23, 2019, Cohen postponed his congressional testimony, citing threats against his family. The next day, the president tweeted, "So interesting that bad lawyer Michael Cohen, who sadly will not be testifying before Congress, is using the lawyer of crooked Hillary Clinton to represent him. Gee, how did that happen?" That was a 7:48 a.m. tweet. Also, in January 2019, Giuliani gave press interviews that appeared to confirm Cohen's account that the Trump Organization pursued the Trump Tower Moscow project well past January 2016. Giuliani stated that it is our understanding that discussions about the Trump Tower Moscow project went on throughout 2016. Weren't a lot of them, but there were conversations. Can't be sure of the exact date. but the president can remember having conversations with him about it. The president also remembers, yeah, probably up, could be up to as far as October, November. In an interview with the New York Times, Giuliani quoted the president as saying that the discussions regarding the Trump-Moscow project were going on from the day I announced to the day I won. On January 21st, 2019, Giuliani issued a statement that said, "My recent statements about discussions during the 2016 campaign between Michael Cohen and candidate Donald Trump about a potential Trump-Moscow project were hypothetical and not based on conversations I had with the president." Analysis. In analyzing the president's conduct related to Cohen, the following evidence is relevant to the elements of obstruction of justice. A. Obstructive act. We gathered evidence of the president's conduct related to Cohen on two issues. 1. Whether the president or others aided or participated in Cohen's false statements to Congress, and 2. Whether the president took actions that would have the natural tendency to prevent Cohen from providing truthful information to the government. First, with regard to Cohen's false statements to Congress, while there is evidence described below that the president knew Cohen provided false testimony to Congress about the Trump Tower Moscow project, the evidence available to us does not establish that the president directed or aided Cohen's false testimony. Cohen said that his statement to Congress followed a party line that developed within the campaign to align with the president's public statements distancing the president from Russia. Cohen also recalled that, in speaking with the president in advance of testifying, he made it clear that he would stay on message, which Cohen believed they both understood would require false testimony. But Cohen said that he and the president did not explicitly discuss whether Cohen's testimony about the Trump Tower Moscow project would be or was false, and the president did not direct him to provide false testimony. Cohen also said he did not tell the president about the specifics of his planned testimony. During the time when his statement to Congress was being drafted and circulated to members of the JDA, Cohen did not speak directly to the president about the statement, but rather communicated with the president's personal counsel, as corroborated by phone records showing extensive communications between Cohen and the president's personal counsel before Cohen submitted his statement and when he testified before Congress. Cohen recalled that in his discussions with the president's personal counsel on August 27, 2017, the day before Cohen's statements were submitted to Congress, Cohen said that there were more communications with Russia and more communications with candidate Trump than the statement reflected. Cohen recalled expressing some concern at that time. According to Cohen, the president's personal counsel, who did not have first-hand knowledge of the project, responded by saying that there was no need to muddy the water, that it was unnecessary to include those details because the project did not take place, and that Cohen should keep his statement short and tight, not elaborate, stay on message, and not contradict the president. Cohen's recollection of the content of those conversations is consistent with the direction about the substance of Cohen's draft statement that appeared to come from members of the JDA. For example, Cohen omitted any reference to his outreach to Russian government officials to set up a meeting between Trump and Putin during the United Nations General Assembly, and Cohen believed it was a decision of